Hi fam, my name is Vuvu and welcome back to my channel. If you are new on here, please consider pressing that red subscribe button down below and joining the family. If you're an oldie, a member of the fam bam, welcome back fam, and thank you for joining me once again. Happy New Year! This is my first time showing my face on camera this year, and you know what? I'm happy to be back. I am happy to be back, and as you can tell from the title of this video, I'm bringing you a November-December wrap-up, and these are all the books that I managed to read in those 2 months. So if you are curious as to what I thought about those books, please do stay tuned.
So Vena _reads is an amazing book reviewer, also YouTuber. She reviews books on YouTube, and if I'm not mistaken, she also has a blog as well. So please, if for your connection with literature, get in touch with or follow at VUVUVENA_reads. She is based in South Africa, and I think it is also extremely important to follow literary content creators who are based outside of the West and in continental Africa, because they do a really good job of bridging the gap.
We appreciate you, Vuvu, for bringing us Turning Pages and for bringing us your BookTube channel.
You know, this is a chance for people to actually see some people that I really enjoy.
Please consider pressing the red subscribe button down below, and if you're a returnee, welcome back fam.
Vuvu, you're amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Gonna fly, guys. Did you hear it? There we go. The door is open though, but this thing, I can't see it, but I can definitely hear it. So if you keep hearing that sound, I apologize. It's beyond my control. So I thought to do these videos individually, but then I thought, you know what? No, let's let bygones be bygones. 2024 must just, you know, pass along and let's start afresh. So I am definitely doing both of these, and I'm gonna give you the quickest summaries that I can give you about the books that I read. As usual, I'm not going to include the children's books in here, but I did read 14 books. I'm looking at my phone for you guys. 14 books in the month of November 2024. 1, 2, 3 were audiobooks that we listened to in the car with the kids. So in essence, I read 11 books in the month of 11 books that I'm going to talk to you guys about in the month of November. And I will start with the books that I'm just trying to see what the number of digital books that I read. One, there was a library, a book that I borrowed, so that I don't have with me now, so that makes it 2, 3, 4. So 4 books were, let's say, digital. I'm including the library books that I had to return to the library. So 4 of those. So I'll start with the physical books, and then I'll follow them up with the digital. Yeah, I think that makes sense, guys. Try my best here. And also, if you cannot tell, I'm very pressed for time, and I nearly used that as an excuse not to do this video. So I'm here now and I'm trying to be present, but I am pressed for time. So this is the physical pile of the books that I managed to read in November. Let me pick up first. Well, I'm gonna pick them up as I see them. This is Going to Meet the Man, yes, by James Baldwin. This was my second James Baldwin book that I picked up, and this one I had on my shelves. Didn't realize I had bought it at a second-hand sale, I want to say at the Santon Library, but I also had requested it from NetGalley, so that's the reason why I picked it up. This is a collection of short stories, and in these short stories we explore different subjects within the Black community at a certain time in America, right? I want to say, obviously this book was published in the 70s, so it's a ooh, no, I lied to you. It was first published in 1948, copyright 1948. So, and it's been republished a few times, so it's definitely at a time where people were still fresh out of slavery, and the communities were made to almost feel like they had to move on. And obviously these things left certain remnants in how people treated the structures in their community, those being family, the church, and just each other, relationships, etc. And I think that James Baldwin really explores the complexities of healing from that trauma and trying to live a normal life quite well in this collection of short stories. I did enjoy this one. I want to see what the rating was. Sorry, I enjoyed it. I ended up rating it a 4-star. That was the rating for this one. And then we buddy read The Secret Lives of Papasegi's Wives with the girls during the sprint, and as you can tell, I had fun with this one. In this one we follow Bolanle, right? And she has been married off to a very old man, and this man has already got wives. I want to say 3 wives by the time that she joins the family. And the issue here is that this man wants a child, a son specifically. However, the other women have had sons, but basically for him to believe that you are a fit woman, aka wife, you need to give him a son. Now these wives have not been truthful as to how their children have come about, and they have not liked Bolanle from the start. Bolanle is an educated woman. She's not like the rural ladies that this man had married, and because of that they feel like she looks down on them. However, she is the kindest in the family. She is the sweetest to the children. The main or the first wife really dislikes her, and the more she tries to make it seem like she's not somebody that belongs in this family, the more her goodness shows up. Anyway, as time goes by, the secret is unfolds, and the lies are put in front of everybody to see, and truth prevails. And obviously that then leads to conflicts in the house and a form of resolution having to come about. However, what I loved about this one is how the Bolanle character kept herself, her pride, her self-worth, her esteem throughout this whole process, and continued to be kind and continued to choose herself as best she could in this situation despite what else was going on in her life. What I will tell you about Lola Shoneyin is that this was hilarious. I absolutely loved the humor in this one, and I ended up giving it a, where are we, I gave it a 4.25 stars over on Storygraph. So that was the second book. The next book I picked up, I did talk about in a previous vlog. This is Samantha Shannon's The Bone Season. In this one we follow Paige. Paige is, I always forget what she is. Yes, she's a clairvoyant. Okay, yes, Paige is a dream walker. And in her world, people who have certain talents are called clairvoyants, and they are not basically welcome or treated well. They are prejudiced against in this world. And one day, while she's working undercover for another clairvoyant who happens to be her boss and happens to have a lot of power and wants to do certain things with the gifts of clairvoyance, she gets on her way back from work, she gets into a little bit of trouble. This trouble leads her to injuring somebody from the authorities who was actually looking for clairvoyance in the train that Paige was in. So Paige ends up having to run away. However, in the attempt to escape this problem, she lands herself in another problem and ends up in another world which is worse than the one that she was in. And this world is ruled by a certain queen who wants her powers because she is the first dream walker to have basically graced their lands in probably millennia, maybe thousands of years. Okay, and she wants her gift for herself. So it seems like she's got ways to kind of like siphon these gifts for herself. She gets given over to a mentor who happens to be the queen's concubine, and is made to the point of the concubine or the mentor is meant to help Paige acclimatize to this new world and its rules. However, the mentor really likes Paige and wants her to escape the situation, and they figure out a way to get out of this sticky situation. And throughout the story, all you're doing is holding your breath and hoping for the best. And I think Samantha Shannon did a very great job with this. I would reread it again because I did struggle at the beginning. This book I think should be read after reading the Pale Dreamer is the first book. The Pale Dreamer is available in this very copy at the end. However, I did not have the audio for it, and if you know me, I always have a certain book that's running on audio throughout my days, and this was the book that I'd chosen for audio. However, there was no audio for the Pale Dreamer, so I decided to jump into the actual book, and after a while it starts to make sense. But it is definitely one of those books that I would pick up again, especially when I read the second book in the series. So this is part of a series. Anyway, I ended up rating this book, what did I rate it? I ended up rating this book a 4.25 stars. And then I did I picked up The Eternal Ones by Namina Fauna, which is the last book, I assume, in the Gilded One series. And in this one, we're still following Deka, and Deka is on a mission to right her wrongs and the wrongs of the deities that she has come to know, and she wants to make sure that everybody pays for their sins. So they embark on this journey, her and her friends, but she isn't feeling well throughout this process, and knows that very soon she's going to die, and if she dies she'll become a god, and if she becomes a god or goddess, she has to let go of all these relationships that she has built. This journey that she's on leads her to her mother, who, as we know from the beginning of the series, was dead, and we learned certain things about how she played a part into bringing Deka into the world, and how the goddesses had basically put this egg in her for her to be able to birth her, and whatever she is looking for is linked to her mother. Then it introduces another powerhouse, right, which is The Eternal Ones. I forget the name of the second book. It's The Merciless Ones. So far we've seen that there are 3 powerhouses of gods and goddesses. The goddesses are the Gilded Ones, the Merciless Ones are the Gilded Ones brothers, and then you have the Eternal Ones. In this one we discover a whole lot more on the story. I actually did enjoy this last book in the series, and I ended up rating it 3.75 stars. Okay, it's time for a water break, child. You can hear that voice is going, gone. Okay, I picked up Legend of Mamlambo. The Legend of Mamlambo. It is a children's book. This one was sent, okay, I didn't mention, sorry, this one was sent to me by Penguin Random House for review purposes. This one was also sent to me by Penguin Random House for review purposes. This book I totally enjoyed. It's by Charles Siboto and Yannicka Cronier. The illustrations are by Yannicka Cronier, and it's got quite beautiful illustrations in it. And in this book we follow a child, a preteen, Amia, who's just moved from Cape Town to to a township in Johannesburg that is close to like a water supply thing, and that is where her mom is gonna work, in that specific office that deals with the community's water supply. However, when she makes friends with the neighborhood kids, these kids start telling her stories about a creature that lives in that water supply tank, and how she needs to be freed, and they tell her how Spookfontein, which is what they've called this township, has a lot of spooky stories, and they have appointed themselves as the people to solve these stories and make sure that the community gets back to normal living. Now, if you hear from the adults in the community, you will realize that the leader, or the first person that she meets in this crew, has actually got some clairvoyance to him, in the sense that he can see and sense spirits and communicate with certain spirits. So they go on this adventure, to see why Mamlambo, right, the water what do you want to call it, she's a mermaid, but the water what spirit that is now living in this supply tank is actually in this township for as long as she's been there. And they realize that certain things have happened to make her unhappy, and they take it upon themselves to undo this and release her and give back to the community a sense of peace and calm. And it is such a beautiful story. I think even for a preteen, I don't think my kids are ready for it yet, but I think they could read it. But for a preteen, it is definitely a beautiful journey. Adventure is there, friendship is there, lessons are there. It's just a beautiful ride altogether. So I ended up rating this one at 3.75 stars. What is it? Okay, so the next book that I picked up is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I did receive this one from Penguin as well a while ago, and in this one we follow Carrie Soto, who is a former tennis champion who has in fact retired. However, she sees that there is somebody who's ready to best her best title ever, and she's on some "not while I'm alive, at least give me some respect, girlfriend. If you are gonna do this while I'm alive, it's disrespectful. And listen, I'm coming out of retirement just for you, just to prove to you that in fact I am the best that still lives, and you cannot best me," basically. So she gets her father. She's got a very complicated relationship with her father. Her mother passed away while she was young. I would say she was young, and her father was also a tennis champ back in, I don't know what country it is, I want to say it was Mexico, and I could be wrong, where he lived before he moved to the USA following an injury, and just built a modest life. But tennis is the one thing that he instilled in his daughter, and tried his best to make sure that she also acquired as a love, right? So what happens is that from her realization that she wants to go back into this game, they take us back to how she got introduced to tennis, what her relationship with her father became due to this thing, and how her relationship with her father fell apart due to this thing. She is definitely a perfectionist. She is definitely somebody who is very competitive, and despite what damage that will do in any other aspects of her life. And in her trying to get back into the game, she runs the risk of doing this again. She has spent, I think she's in her late 30s, because of her competitive nature, etc. has spent most of her life alone. However, you can tell that she is somebody who craves a partner in her life. So during this relearning and unlearning of things in this season of her life, a whole lot of things are being bestowed upon her, and a whole lot of lessons are being learned. I absolutely love this book. I really didn't think that I would love something that was so focused on sport, but I think how Taylor Jenkins Reid carried this character and carried this story and carried this lesson that second chances can be given to you, but it matters what you do with them. And it is okay for you to pave the path and let somebody else outdo you after you have shown that something can be done. It is a very well told story. Absolutely loved this one. It's very dear to my heart. Actually, I had a lot of quotable moments in that one as well. I did end up rating Carrie Soto is Back 4 stars. And then I picked up January's by Olivia Blake. This one was sent to me by Pan Macmillan for review purposes, and this is a collection of short stories, and it does say here exactly what it is: stories of love, magic, and betrayal. And listen, if you don't know how much I love Olivia Blake at this point, I don't know, maybe you have not been listening, because I just love this woman for her ability to make you think about life, make you question what you believe, make you question why you believe it, and affirm why you believe what you believe, or help you along the path of possibly what you believe could be more or less. So you need to know what your convictions are and why, and when they are challenged in literature, you need to know exactly where you stand with them. And does she challenge them? She definitely does. I absolutely love this collection of short stories, and there were moments where I felt like these are just treasures for life, right? There's a specific one which is actually a wedding speech. I don't know if they will call it wedding vows. In this, these are definitely divided into the seasons of the year. So there's spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and the one that I'm talking about is called The House. I just want to see how short or long it is so that I'll read you just the first paragraph. Charlene, it's called The House, I did say. Charlene and Danielle, let me begin by ruminating widely about marriage. After today, people will continuously ask you the same questions, which at this stage of life and love will be: does it feel different being married? Later, these questions will be more pertinent to one or more uteruses, so good luck. I have a friend who was particularly exhausted by this question, which in fairness does seem to demand a specific but unguessable answer, and her pet answer was no. Of course it doesn't feel different being married. In her words, she chose to get married in the first place because she didn't want anything to change. She liked her life exactly as it was and thought, cool, let's do this forever then. A totally reasonable answer that I will now invalidate brutally behind her back. Because actually things will be very different after today. Maybe not right away, but soon you will begin to notice something that I like to describe in terms of architecture. To me, marriage feels like you have taken up residency in an unfinished house with a very long hallway, such that you cannot see the end from where you stand, and you are only allowed to progress through one room at a time. Which means that today you're standing in a beautiful room full of exquisite, exhilarating beginnings, but right outside this room is another endless stretch of as yet unmaterialized rooms, each one containing an unpredictable number of things you know absolutely nothing about. So what can you build next if you don't yet know what rooms will be required? What can you create at this moment with the tools you currently have that can account for one of the rooms that you haven't yet seen? Conversely, can you afford to take any room for granted, knowing you may not be allowed to stay there long? You can merely accept the room as it is and continuously make the choice to keep going, to say yes to every room that follows, regardless of what might ultimately live inside. Obviously this is like a 2.5 page long short story, and I felt, firstly, the narrator, because I was hybrid reading this one, was just perfect for this collection of short stories. But The House, that is the one that stuck with me the most, because it is a lesson that you can keep giving and giving and giving to yourself if you are married, to your friends who are married. It is a love letter beyond anything that I've read in a long time, and it is a love letter advocating for, I want you to get the very best of this thing that is marriage if you have chosen it for yourself. It is so beautiful. so beautiful. And I urge you, if you have a copy of this, to definitely read The House. Absolutely loved this collection. And I ended up giving it a 4.5 stars. So to the digital books that I picked up in the month of November, I picked up Every Lost Secret, I'll put it up here, by A.R. Torrey. In this one, we follow just a group of high society neighborhood couples. I want to say it's two, but I feel like it's more than two couples that we are looking at. But anyway, the other couple is new in the neighborhood, and their presence does ruffle some feathers. The wife of the new person or neighbor is working for basically the it couple in the neighborhood. And oh god, yeah, I don't know the names of these people, and I feel like I'm gonna end up confusing you and me if I don't say their names. Okay, so there's Kat and there's William. These are the long-standing neighbors, well, residents of this neighborhood. And then there's Nina. Yes, there's Nina, who is new to the neighborhood. Anyway, these two butt heads, there's not much that I can tell you about. This one is a crime thriller. These two end up butting heads. They're not liking each other. William gets stuck in the middle of this, and a potential possible affair is being thrown out there, and a lot of things are discovered, and at the end of it we know who's got the power here. But if you want something that's full of scheming, full of vicious just gameplay, basically, this is the one for you. It was a while back, which is why I can't truly gather all of my thoughts, but I know that I enjoyed it enough to give it a 3.75 stars. And then, okay, I'm leaving the kids ones. Nope. And then I did read and listen to One Day Only by David Nichols. And this one I've told you guys about quite a bit in a previous vlog as well. However, it is adapted into a series on Netflix. My throat is doing all kinds of things today. It's adopted into a series on Netflix, and in this one we follow our main romantic lead, the man being Dexter and the woman being Emma. Dexter and Emma meet on their last day of varsity, and it looks like they could have kicked it off, but circumstances didn't allow it to. However, they did make enough of a connection to start visiting each other over the holidays. And Dexter comes from a well-off family, whereas Emma doesn't. Emma has some political, it's set in like the, I want to say it's set in the early, it was published in 2009, but I want to say it's probably set in like the late or early 90s. Anyway, Dexter is from a well-off family, and Emma has these things that she wants to do to assist society to move forward, and Dexter is just living his life, basically living his life on a gap year after year. And they form a very strong friendship, which at some point you start realizing that for the one it's become something more, whereas for the other it isn't yet. So Dexter goes on with his life being the ladies' man of sort, etc, etc. And then when he discovers that he actually does like Emma to an extent, he tries to shut it down by entertaining as many ladies as possible and denying this, because I feel like to some extent he didn't feel like he was worthy of Emma. Then Emma gives up on Dexter ever seeing her for who she is, and decides to venture off and make other relationships and actually get into a romantic relationship, which obviously takes Dexter off. Oh, it's this endless cycle, and the issue here is Dexter. Okay, so it's basically this, what trope is that called, where they almost get into a relationship and then it doesn't happen time and time and time again. Eventually, when it does happen, obviously because you've wasted all that time, there's very little time left for them, and obviously there is a tragedy. That's what I mean by there's very little time left for them. And you sit there as the reader wishing that one of these people could have woken up on time for them to have lived happily ever after for longer, you know. But anyway, I ended up this one at 3.5 stars. I really think that the biggest problem here was that Dexter annoyed me. He really annoyed me. I did then pick up Lyric by Gray Huffington as the second book in the Eisenberg Effect series, the first book having been Luca. Now we're looking at Luca's sister. Her name is Lyric, and her love interest. You know what, guys, as I'm going on, this is definitely just going to be a November wrap up, because I'm just seeing the time that's going in terms of the length of this video, and I didn't want it to be long, so we're just going to do a November wrap up. I'm sorry for having said it will be 2, because it doesn't seem like it's gonna be 2. Anyway, back to Lyric. Well, Lyric is in love with Keanu, aka Ken, and she has been hurt in love before, so hurt in love that her brother had to end up in jail because of something that happened in her previous relationship. So I think now it's nearing like a decade, and Lyric has decided that she's not worthy of love, and whenever she falls in love, bad things happen. So she steered away. Yes, she mingles with the singles here and there, but she really does not want to pursue a relationship at this point in her life, because things always end badly. And the thing is, Ken happens to be incarcerated. He is in jail, Chumi. He is in prison, and he is her brothers. She's got 2 brothers, Luca and Laika, and Ken is their best friend. Childhood, they grew up together. He's like a brother in the family, and this has kept her from sharing her affections about this man. So on his birthday, he was incarcerated for about, I want to say, a year, because he also did something to protect a family member and took the fall. Anyway, so it's his birthday while he's in prison, about halfway through his incarceration, and because Lyric's family is basically his family, they decide to call him and wish him happy birthday while they're having their tradition, which is like a Sunday dinner with everybody, including Lyric's parents. And on that day, she decides, okay, you know what, she's gonna build her courage. Her best friend is now married to Luca, if you read the first book or you heard my review about it. And she decides, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna build up some courage and let this guy know while he's over there in prison that me love him to no end and them turn that down. So I'm gonna tell him. Sends an email, reads it over, goes insane about it, thinks about it, changes her mind. Does she want to send that? Overthinks the whole thing, and then sends, and then presses send. And then Ken Keanu uyayifumana this email, and what does he do? Blutika sana Ken Manasfundela in secret this email. He keeps reading it to himself in secret while he's in jail. Does not respond to, I keep saying jail, I know it's not jail, does not respond to Little Miss Ma'am. And Little Miss Ma'am is like, okay, Shem, I tried, I put my heart on the line, told this nigga exactly how I felt, and he serves me with silence. So that to me equals he's not interested. So let me gather myself and move on with my life. What this has shown me though is that I am interested in dating again, so let me play the field. Then Uken gets out of prison. Yeah, Ken looking for his girl, his woman. Pika Lokchim. You did not answer the email. So what woman, love of his life, can't wait to come home to you? Who did you tell? Who did you tell? So on the first night back, when the boys are on time, let's just celebrate your back, does he not get into or go into the same club slash restaurant situation where Lyric is having a date. Yes, he loses it. Yeah, loser chomi, loses it, goes insane. As the more I think about it, the more I'm like, men, this is a clear reflection of men. And then obviously between Ken, Luca, and Laike, who are all very protective of Lyric as the younger sister, this date had no chance. The date had no chance, yet this guy is really feeling Lyric. Anyway, date there's no chance. Lyric ends up going home. Chiki at the door, there is Keanu there for his girl. How dare you, don't these men, these whatever derogatory term he uses. And he's quite of the ghetto style, okay? Anyway, that night one thing leads to another, and he's got a kink. I keep saying this, there's a kink that Ken has that I personally don't understand and I personally don't approve of, but Lyric is happy with it, so ending in down. But I'm like, why? Because why? Anyway, like I'm saying, I enter no way with people's kinks that don't affect me, but that did, like, you know, when I was reading I was like, I can't be true, ain't no way. Lyric, it doesn't but okay, there's this kink, they do all of these things, and then cheeky, what will my brothers say? My brothers don't yeah, their best friend hara, and Kian is on some minage, I'm my own man and I am a man, and if you want this, you are going to have to come and tell me this is what you want. I've said quite a bit about this book. At this point it is a review, but anyway, so they keep playing this cat and mouse game for the rest of this book, and you know what, Keanu's really not having it, and he gives her an ultimatum, and things are discovered during this ultimatum. A period of getting to know each other better is also put out there. A period of actually dating, pursuing, lavishing gifts on this spoiled little girl. She's not a little girl. Also ensues. I absolutely love how Gray Huffington writes black people's romances. I think she just does a stellar job, and this being my first encounter with this series of hers, I'm definitely gonna keep picking up the books. So there's 4 books in the series. I've only picked up 2, and what I saw is that I really definitely want them there for them being palate cleansers of sorts, right? So that when I feel I have had enough of whatever it is that I gravitate to more in terms of genres, I go back and I hide myself there in dramas of Bo Lyric, Bo Luca, Bo Ken, you understand? So that's what I want for myself. So that's why I'm just slowly nibbling them. I don't think you need to really know much about the other book in order for you to read the next book. So if you find yourself stumbling into Lyric before you read Luca, I think you will be fine as far as I can tell. I ended up rating this book a 4-star. And then the last book that I picked up in digital format was The Blue House by Dudu Busani Dube. In this one we follow, guys, you bear with me now because this was in November, so these characters, the minute I get their names, am I right? But I need to get their name. Charlotte. Oh, I gotta speak to Charlotte. Hey, where's Charlotte? Okay, so we follow Charlotte. The story is so complicated, and I'm smiling, but this is one of the saddest stories that I have read in a while, and I was actually telling a friend of mine about it today. That's how much it's actually stuck with me. Anyway, so I'm saying in this one we follow Charlotte. Charlotte lives Charlotte lives in a township with her sister and her grandmother. She's basically an orphan child, does not have a mother, does not have a father. However, they are both being raised by their grandmother in a township, in a very tight situation, in the sense that their grandmother has built a house where she also has fenced it with very high walls, trying to keep the neighborhood prying eyes out, because Gertrude seems to have lost her mind. So for Charlotte, all she could ever do is go to school and come straight back. And in Gertrude having lost her mind, she is abusive towards Charlotte, and her excuse every time she harms her or almost kills her is that she wants Charlotte to forget, but nothing is ever said about what it is that she should be forgetting. Okay, jiggy jiggy, one day Gertrude passes away. In her sleep, she is told, this is what Charlotte is told, the story is definitely told from the perspective of Charlotte. She passes away, and Charlotte feels like, okay, thank God, now I can actually live and be able to be free and be able to breathe, because she doesn't know what she ever did to this woman, because she was slightly older, maybe in her 20s, for her to hate her that much. Anyway, life goes on, and Charlotte goes to university, passes university, and is in like her first job post-university when her grandmother passes away. Before her grandmother passes away, she leaves her a key. Tells her that it is a key to a house that she owns, that she has now left to Charlotte, and Charlotte must go to this house to see about this house. And this house is in a secluded farm town just outside of Johannesburg, and there she will find some answers. This is her dying wish, and this grandmother is the love of Charlotte's life. So of course she takes leave from work. Of course she goes to investigate what this matter was. She gets to this house, the blue house, and she realizes that this place has not been lived in for years, so she definitely cannot sleep there. She definitely cannot sleep there. And she books into a B&B, the only B&B I suppose in town. And when she tries to get some food and supplies for her stay, she goes into the local store, and everybody's treating her well. Ooh, hey, tourist, because it is that kind of situation, right? When they find out she is here about the blue house, oh, where is the rosary, where is the garlic, everything. Nobody wants nothing to do with Charlotte, because where is she going? To the blue house. And when she went to scope out this blue house, there was a child wearing a yellow dress, carrying a doll that she saw, and she's heard a lot of screaming from the house like a few miles back, kilometers away, and she assumed this child is from there, but it was during the day, so she had questions. Do these kids not go to school? Why are they so negligent, and why are there so many children here? Yada 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 yada. But this child pretended to have known who Charlotte is, and this obviously leaves her questioning stuff. When she steps out of the shop, the resident madman on the street, in a sense, his name is Jumanji, sees her. Oh, he loses it. Starts calling her is Tunzela. That is a zombie, for those who don't know. Screams Tunzela, is going insane, because what is this Tunzela doing here? Okay, after that, Dudu deals with us one by one. Nothing that we've known up until this point is true. What? This story broke my heart. It gave me hope, but it also shattered me so much. And I say this is such an important story because the things that are being explored in the story are things that are true to real life. These are things that are happening to people that we live with, and things that are being done by people that we live with. It is not an easy world, especially South Africa, for black females, children and adults, and she does treat the topic of femicide and just the injustices that are committed on the black woman or the black female body with such tenderness. And I think that in her doing so, she does also try and redeem and restore, I suppose, men, because not all these men in the story are horrible, but she does try and redeem them, and she does try and redeem society when she shows how we can hold each other's hands through things, and the importance of community. But we just learn also quite a lot about how certain generations will always be protectors of patriarchy, how harmful it is to trust, but how important it is as well. There is a lot that she explores in the story, and it's so very well done. I absolutely loved the story. It is part of a series, and I cannot wait to see what more she will do with this. But if there's anything that I can leave you with regarding this particular one, is that this is a very, very important story. And if you have an opportunity to pick it up, I know that it's available in stores now, but it is also available on Kindle Unlimited, which is where I read it. Please do pick it up. Very important read, very important read for us black South African women of any age to pick up, consume, and try and navigate the internal discourse that is going to occur about some of these topics, and how we show up as women in society for each other, especially. With that said, that brings me to the end of this wrap-up video that I thought was gonna be 2 months, but it's just 1 month. Okay, forgive me, I'll do the second one soon. And until next time, I truly do love you guys for choosing me. Please, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel but you keep on coming back, watching some videos, maybe even liking the videos, please do press that subscribe button. It really does do a lot for me. If you have made it to this point in the video, please leave me a house emoji, home emoji, any of those. I think there's two, any of those two emojis that look like it's a house or a home or whatever, with like a blue circle next to it, right? Obviously for the blue house, the last book that I talked about. But until next time, I love you very much. Bye for now.